Listening to Football Live, the preview show on Brilla FM with Barry Swain.
Hello everyone, another weekend of Premier League drama is just around the corner, and that's where Football Live, the preview show, comes in handy. We build up to all the big action, hearing from the big names ahead of the big games. Those big games will of course be covered exclusively this weekend right here on Brilla FM with Football Live. Just like last weekend, the curtain goes up on the action with a London derby involving Graham Potter's Chelsea. The expensively assembled Blues were frustrated by Fulham at Stamford Bridge last Friday, and this weekend they make the trip east to Stratford to take on West Ham United, who will be lifted by a 1-1 draw last Saturday night away at high-flying Newcastle United. Here's West Ham's Vladimir Koufal on the solid showing that the Hammers put in to pick up a point away at Newcastle.
It's a big point for us from St James's Park. I think it's a well-deserved point for both sides. I've played very tough games already, but this one was one of the toughest what I've ever played. It was something unreal, up and down, up and down. We lost the ball, they lost the ball. It was proper Premier League games, maybe more than proper Premier League games.
For Graham Potter, every time Chelsea don't win, pressure appears to increase on him. So many big names at his disposal, and João Felix is back from his three-match ban and is likely to play some part this weekend at the London Stadium. Graham Potter upbeat after the 0-0 draw last Friday against Fulham at Stamford Bridge.
Well, there's disappointment because we didn't win, of course, and I think we could all sense the excitement. We all sense the positivity. There was definitely that in the team. I think you have to credit Fulham because they're a well-organised defensive unit. We, at times, did quite well. At times, you could see the lack of connection that you would expect from a team that's got a few guys coming back from injury or been integrated into the team. So it is where we're at the moment. You know, Reece has come back. It's his first game for a while. Enzo's making his first game for us after a day's training, and Misha as well, getting up to speed. And like I said, playing against a team that knows what they're doing, that are well organised, defensively strong, with Mitrovic always a handful. Yeah, we have to be disappointed, of course, with the points, but at the same time, you know, we're moving forward as a team, and we'll get better for the experience.
Andrew Bonacore is hosting for the first time on Football Live this Saturday, and what a show he has to get his teeth into. 5 matches on the bill, and top of the bill, it's the London derby. Top of the table Arsenal need a reaction after the disappointing loss to Everton last weekend at Goodison Park. Brentford make the short trip around the North Circular to the Emirates, and Thomas Frank's side are in great form. Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta honest in his assessment of the way in which Arsenal lost at Everton.
Yeah, really tough match. We knew that before we came in, especially with the circumstances of the match, with the new manager and the style of play they had, we knew it was going to be tough. I think we started the game pretty well and controlled the game. After 20 minutes, we started to lose a little bit some control and start to play a little bit the game that they want to play. We had loads of the ball, but we lacked that purpose and quality in the final third to generate many more chances. And after, on a set piece is what they do. You can see that, and then they slow the game down. They do that really well, and we were struggling to come back in the game.
3 of Saturday afternoon's 5 matches are actually in London, so we'll stay in London for the next match. Crystal Palace take on Brighton and Hove Albion at Selhurst Park in what is known as the M23 derby. In truth, it really isn't a derby, more of a fixture between two sides who have, for want of a better word, hated one another since the 1970s. Brighton dare to dream of Europe. Roberto De Zerbi's team are having a fantastic season, of course. Crystal Palace, on the other hand, could still be dragged into a relegation battle if they hit a bad patch anytime soon. Patrick Vieira will be keen for Palace to get something out of this match in front of their own noisy supporters. Should be a great atmosphere at Selhurst Park. Of course, we'll have that one covered right here on Football Live. Leicester City, well, they won at Aston Villa 4-2 last weekend. That ended a poor run. James Maddison fit again and firing for the Foxes. Harry Kane was Sunday's match winner for Tottenham against Manchester City. And Saturday afternoon's trip to the King Power is the sort of match that could well define Tottenham Hotspur's season. At Craven Cottage, still in London, Fulham host Nottingham Forest, a side that seemingly have escaped the relegation battle suddenly with a good run of form in the last few weeks. Their latest victory at home to Leeds United. Fulham looking good for a top 10 finish in their first season back in the Premier League, while Steve Cooper finally seems to be getting some sort of tune from his Forest players. Could be an interesting one, this one in West London. Now, down at the bottom, Southampton are bottom. They crashed to a 3-0 defeat last weekend away away in West London at Brentford, prompting their manager, Nathan Jones, to turn to statistics in his post-match interview. Some strange words coming from the mouth of the under-pressure Saints boss.
The way that people want to play and so on, and I've compromised because fans and so on. Compromised on a few little things, to be honest with you, but no more. Because at the end of the day, I've been very successful, and I've been very successful playing a real fluent style, and then tried to implement that at Stoke, and it didn't because of certain things. Then I came back to Luton. We were a real aggressive front-footed side. Statistically, there weren't many better than me around Europe in terms for aggression, clean sheets, defending your box, balls in the box, XG, all those things. We were pound for pound the best because we were spending next to nothing and producing so much. And I've gone away from that because maybe it's Premier League, because of how things look, because of certain players and internationals and stuff like that. But no more, because at the end of the day, I've had to compromise certain things, and I'm not doing that again.
Some very strange words, not words that have gone down too well with the Southampton fans, and even at boardroom level there are rumours that meetings have gone on this week to discuss what Jones has said in that press conference and about his future, having only been in the job for a couple of months. Wolves are at St Mary's this weekend, and they're starting to put some really good form together to climb out of the relegation zone under their new manager, Jurgen Klopp. Every Saturday and Sunday afternoon, Football Live is on Brilla FM, bringing you all the exclusive team news.
Everton Super Eagle Alex Iwobi still out injured.
The reaction of the players and, of course, the managers.
Well, James Maddison's doing very well, so we're hoping that he can be involved in the squad at the weekend.
The action as it unfolds throughout the afternoon.
Pressure from Brighton just told in the end. They've been absolutely fantastic, responded brilliantly to going behind.
And of course, don't forget the goals.
What can you tell us about the Brighton goal that has put them 1-0 up at the King Power?
I can tell you, Josh, that is an absolute screamer from Kaoru Mitoma.
Every Saturday and Sunday afternoon, Football Live brings you all of the action as it unfolds, right here, exclusively on Brilla FM. Before we talk about Sunday, let's talk about Monday night and the Merseyside derby at Anfield. Liverpool crashed into another 3-0 away defeat last weekend, this time away at Wolverhampton Wanderers. All is not looking so healthy for Liverpool at the moment. Champions League next season is looking increasingly unlikely. And you have to listen to the tone of Jurgen Klopp after that defeat at Molineux to realise that things really aren't looking so good for Liverpool at the moment.
Yeah, very, very frustrating, very disappointed. It's the start into the game was horrible, absolutely horrible. It was the opposite of what we wanted to do. First 12 minutes, 2-0 down. It's never helpful, but especially in our situation, it's absolutely not allowed to happen. Not for being passive, not for doing what we did in these moments. So we saw obviously different games today, all in one. First 12 minutes, then an okay away performance. We created, we were there, that was absolutely okay, but then we started extremely well in the second half. That's the next, exactly 25-30 minutes in the second half for the first of them. It was brilliant. It was a super away game without scoring. Yeah, and then they scored a third goal from a counter-attack, and the rest is getting it over the line, pretty much. You can ask me if I can explain it. It's now 10-15 minutes after the game, still not. It's not. That is not. Cannot happen.
Maybe Everton can make it 2 wins out of 2 under Sean Dyche and climb out of the relegation zone. That win over Arsenal last weekend has lifted the whole club at Goodison Park, although it doesn't exactly hide the turmoil that the club is experiencing off the field at the moment. On Sunday, Football Live turns its focus on Leeds United and their home match at Elland Road against Manchester United. This match coming just a few days after the two sides met in midweek at Old Trafford in the Premier League. Leeds United sacking Jesse Marsch following the latest defeat, a 1-0 loss last weekend away at Nottingham Forest. It was to be Jesse Marsch's last match in charge, and here is exactly what he had to say after that disappointing loss at the City Ground.
Yeah, I'm frustrated and disappointed. I feel like we had a really good start. We were on top of the match. We had chances to score. And then, on a set piece, and it's almost their only time down the pitch in the first half, and we go down 1-0. I have to find a way to get more out of the group. I have to make sure that we don't feel sorry for ourselves. And we have to find a way to stay strong and keep going. But I obviously take responsibility, and I have to find a way to get more out of us and make sure that when we're on top of games, we don't lose them.
Well, Manchester United will once again be without Casemiro. Erik ten Hag not best pleased with the red card handed out to his key midfield man against Crystal Palace in a heated match last Saturday.
I think we played a brilliant game. It was a really high level first 70 minutes till that incident took place. This team stands for each other. There's such a good spirit in the team, and they don't accept when a player from us can be badly injured, and that is the way Anthony got treated. And then this team sticks together, but of course you have to control your emotions. But it's really difficult in such a moment. And then I see two teams fighting each other. I see two teams where several players crossing the line, and then one player is picked out and gets sent off. And for me, that's not right.
Well, you can join myself, Barry Swain, along with Josh Bailey and Matthew Key on Sunday afternoon for exclusive coverage of that match. Leeds United against Manchester United at Elland Road. Two matches we haven't mentioned. Saturday evening, Bournemouth against Newcastle United. It's the return to the Vitality Stadium of Eddie Howe, who took Bournemouth from League Two to the Premier League. Howe now working his magic on Tyneside, with Newcastle pushing for a place in next season's Champions League. But the Carabao Cup finalists, whilst not losing matches, have drawn quite a few recently, and Tottenham's win over Manchester City last weekend saw the gap on the top four, and in particular Newcastle, close right up. Bournemouth, well, they've slipped into the bottom three. They are the bookmakers' favourites to be relegated, but can Gary O'Neill's side pull off a shock and get themselves a result that would boost their survival hopes? Callum Wilson, Matt Ritchie and Ryan Fraser, all Newcastle players that were once at Bournemouth. They return to the South Coast this Saturday evening. Now, the final game is the late Sunday match between Manchester City and Aston Villa. City's first match since they were hit with over 100 charges this week by the Premier League. A real big story, this one, in the world of football, coming just a couple of weeks after the Juventus story in which they were punished with a large points deduction over in Italy. What becomes of City, only time will tell, but it's not been the best of weeks for them after the loss at Spurs on Sunday, a match that we, of course, had covered right here on Brilla FM and Football Live with Chris Baldwin and myself last Sunday.
I can tell you there has been an opening goal at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Oh, he's gone and done it, hasn't he? Harry Kane has broken the Jimmy Greaves Tottenham Hotspur goal-scoring record, and in doing so, he joins the 200 club in the Premier League alongside Wayne Rooney and Alan Shearer. Of course, there'll be plenty more of where that came from this weekend on Saturday and on Sunday on Football Live. Arsenal against Brentford, Manchester United's trip to Leeds United, Southampton against Wolves, and Tottenham Hotspur are at Leicester. All these matches and more being covered exclusively this coming weekend on Football Live right here on Brilla FM. Football Live, the preview show, returns same time, same place next week for another exclusive preview to all the weekend action coming up in the Premier League. Don't forget to join us on Saturday, 3:45 in the afternoon, and on Sunday at 2:45 in the afternoon. Two great shows are lined up. Make sure you are joining us here on Brilla FM as we chase down the goals on Football Live.
You are listening to Football Live, the preview show on Brilla FM with Barry Swain.